Tomorrow marks the 43rd anniversary of the murder of Steve Biko in police custody in 1976. And the annual Steve Biko lecture is being given this year by the Reverend Al Sharpton, the veteran American civil rights activist. He'll be speaking at the height of struggles for equality in the United States and the Black Lives Matter movement, while African American men are still being killed by police officers in that country and during the climax of an election. And yes, of course, here we have our own struggles around race and equality. Reverend Al Sharpton, it's an honor to speak to you, sir. Good evening, and thank you so much for your time. Certainly, this conversation happens around a very difficult time around the world, and not only in South Africa. In a country where you are at the moment, it's still quite a dangerous, place to find yourself as a black man. Do you believe that that will ever go away?
It will go away if we do not stop fighting for it, and if we do not give up, it will go away because we will accept nothing less. One of the reasons why in my 20s I so admired Steve Biko is because of the black consciousness movement that he led, which is why they killed him, is that if we change our mind, then we can change our circumstances. And we must change our mind about who we are. It was horrific. It was egregious that they would kill George Floyd. I did the eulogy at 2 of the funeral services for him. But what is worse is if we accept that as normal, if we accept the normalization of the struggle in South Africa to have economic rights and to be able to bring the masses to a level of empowerment that we've been able to bring some in the political arena. And that is why it's important you have what you have there with your station, where we can tell our story to each other about who we really are, and we would accept nothing less. No one can ride your back if you know you ought to be standing on your feet. And though it is a struggle to get to your feet, we must accept nothing less. We were not born to bow to others.
And Reverend, when you look at some of the statements that have been attributed to President Trump, do you think they have been helping at all?
I think that they have been harmful. I think that they have been polarizing. I think that they have been racist. But what is worse is that if it is normalized, then we accept it, or we just say, well, that's the way it is. We cannot make change. We have made incremental changes. And if we were able to do them, we can do more if we have the same determination, the same kind of perseverance that those ahead of us have. How can the children and heirs of a Biko or Winnie Mandela or Nelson Mandela say what is too hard when we saw what they went through was even more difficult? We must realize who we are and whose blood runs through our veins. We are warriors, and we've got to stay on the battlefield. Warriors don't quit. Warriors fight until they win.
And Reverend, the election in the United States is just around the corner. What happens if Americans decide to elect Trump to the presidency again?
We must keep fighting. We have faced, out of the 45 presidents, most of them were for slavery. Most of them were for segregation. Most of them were for things that made us less than human. But we kept fighting until ultimately we ended up with a black president. We elected him and re-elected him. So we can't let 1 out of 45 that is with the majority that saw us less forget what we could achieve. We must not only have a black president or a black in Congress, we must make that work for black people. The objective is not having just something black at the top, but is to correct things all the way to the bottom. And we've proven what we can do if we unify and fight. There is nothing achieved if we surrender. They don't even have to fight us because our minds has already conceded defeat. And that's what Biko fought. That's why the black consciousness movement was something so important all over the world.
And Reverend, we'll look at, Steve Biko, of course, dying in police custody. We saw George Floyd at the hands of police. We then saw Daniel Pruitt just a few weeks ago. We then saw, of course, Blake as well dying at, also being shot, by police officers. And then we keep seeing these cases that keep on coming up. What does that tell us about what police officers really need to do to regard human life as very important?
Well, I think that what police must do is go to jail when they disregard human rights and the law. People can work on changing their hearts, but first you must change their legal status. When policemen see they will pay a price for brutalizing and taking black lives, even if they don't change their heart, they will change their activities. We must protect our lives by making people understand it will cost their freedom, it will cost their situation, and that's what we must fight for. I'm a preacher. I believe in changing people's hearts, but we can change their hearts behind bars, because if a black had done that to a white, even if they were black law enforcement, if a black law enforcement had put his knee on a white's neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, or shot someone 7 times in the back that was white, they would indict him and arrest him. We can accept no less. It devalues our lives, and we can never accept that.
And Reverend, when you look at, of course, here in South Africa, we became free in 1994, and that, of course, brought political equality, but it did not bring economic equality, and still you continue to see police, killing black people, and almost not even a single white person. There's only just a few of them. What does that tell us about, the difficulty for the struggle for real racial and economic equality?
I was there in '94 for the South African elections. I was very much celebratory with that. But that was just a step. You must now correct the system all the way down, not just black at the top. We had President Barack Obama who did things at the top, but the system is entrenched. You can't in 26 years change the whole system, but you must not accept it until it is changed. Policemen protect the status quo of the economic rulers, and they must understand that's unacceptable, and we must change the economic rulers where we democratize not only voting, but democratize economic arrangements.